During World War II, when rain turned battlefields into rivers and shelters into swamps, soldiers didn't have the luxury of modern waterproof gear. Tarps tore, canvas leaked, and trenches filled with freezing mud. Yet some units managed to stay dry, warm and hidden even during week-long bombardments. Their secret wasn't a material, it was a method. Engineers discovered a way to seal and insulate dugouts using natural earth layers, ash and waxed fabric that repelled water better than any tarp ever could. It was cheap, it was field-proven, and most importantly, it worked when nothing else did. When tarps failed, soldiers turned to the ground itself. Tarps were never meant for the conditions of total war. In France, Italy and the Eastern Front, the problem wasn't just rain, it was relentless, soaking mud. Canvas covers sagged under weight, seams split, and, once the fibres soaked through, the cold crept in instantly. Soldiers realized they needed something that acted more like skin than fabric. Something that shed water and trapped heat at the same time. The answer came from frontline engineers who combined old-world methods with military precision. They noticed how traditional cobhouses and trench ovens handled moisture by layering materials that absorbed, sealed and reflected heat in a natural cycle. This idea inspired what came to be known as the sealed earth roof method, a layered shelter system that didn't rely on factory-made gear. The sealed earth method was part science, part survival instinct. At its core, the method involved combining compacted clay, fine ash, and oiled or waxed cloth in overlapping layers over a simple frame of branches or poles. Soldiers first built a shallow dome or lean-to framework, usually from willow or hazel rods, flexible enough to create an arch. Over this frame they packed a 1-inch layer of wet clay mixed with fine ash or charcoal dust. The ash acted as a drying agent and filler, tightening the clay as it set while also giving it fire resistance. Once this layer was partially dry, they covered it with any available fabric. Tent canvas, bedrolls, or even stitched-together uniforms, then brushed it with melted wax or animal fat. When cooled, the coating turned that fabric into a waterproof skin. Finally they added another thin layer of clay, mixed with straw and soil to protect the wax surface from shrapnel and heat. This 3-layer combination, clay, waxcloth and soil, worked like armour. Water rolled off instead of soaking in, and the air gap trapped between layers created natural insulation. Even under artillery shock or heavy rain, these shelters held their form. Soldiers could sit inside for days without a drip reaching them, while nearby canvas tarps collapsed into sodden heaps. Why this trick worked better than modern tarps? Modern tarps rely on surface tension to repel water, but once punctured or stretched, they lose integrity. The World War II method used layered absorption and redirection. The outer clay and soil layers absorbed surface impact and spread moisture outward, while the wax cloth underneath created a non-porous barrier. The ash within the clay neutralized acids from smoke and rain, which prevented rot and odour, an essential detail when living underground for weeks. Tests after the war by British and German field engineers confirmed that this layered system could withstand up to 4 days of continuous rain without seepage. When paired with trench drains or simple slope grading, these bunkers stayed dry even in flood zones. The technique wasn't only functional, it saved lives by keeping weapons, maps and rations dry when nothing else could. This old war trick still works for modern survivalists. You don't need a battlefield to use this principle. The same design is invaluable for off-grid shelters, primitive cabins, and long-term survival camps. To replicate it today, start with a strong frame made from greenwood branches, bent into an arch, or A-frame. Mix your first layer from local clay and wood ash at a ratio of about 4 parts clay to 1 part ash. Spread this evenly over the structure and allow it to stiffen slightly. Next, apply your inner waterproof layer using any durable fabric. Old bed sheets, canvas bags, or even plastic sheeting if available. Brush or rub melted beeswax, candle wax or animal fat into the fabric until it forms a flexible sealed surface. Lay it over the first clay layer, pressing gently to ensure contact. Then apply a final outer coating of clay mixed with straw or dry grass to about 1 inch thick. When it dries, you'll have a breathable waterproof roof that sheds rain and stabilizes internal temperature naturally. This design also scales up. Homesteaders and preppers have adapted it for earth shelters, root cellars, and even outdoor ovens. The same physics applies: redirect moisture outward, trap heat inside, and let the structure work as a living skin rather than a simple barrier. What's fascinating is how wartime necessity anticipated modern earth-building science. The sealed earth principle mirrors what architects now call thermal mass sheltering, where soil and clay act as both insulation and protection. By combining hydrophobic, which is water-repelling, and hydrophilic, which is water-absorbing, layers, the WWII's engineers created a dynamic system that adjusted to the environment. When it rained, the outer layers swelled slightly, sealing up any cracks. When dry, they would harden, reflecting sunlight and, trapping cool air beneath. Studies of surviving wartime bunkers across Europe show that many still retain partial waterproofing after 80 years, even though, the fabrics inside have long since decayed. The remaining clay layers tell the story of a system that functioned not through machinery, but really through natural balance. What makes this method timeless isn't just the durability, it's honestly the mindset. Those soldiers didn't have access to hardware stores, plastic, or any modern coatings. They had to understand how materials behaved and how to make the environment work with them, not against them. That philosophy applies just as much to modern sustainability as it does to survival. Whether you're studying wartime engineering building off-grid or, just curious about forgotten ingenuity, this World War II trick proves that the smartest solutions often come from the hardest conditions. It was born from desperation, but built on science. And honestly, it still outperforms many modern methods that rely on synthetic materials. When you see old photographs of soldiers smiling from a dry dugout while rain floods the trenches outside, you're looking at the result of this technique. It wasn't luck, it was knowledge. If you want more deep dives into the survival engineering that shaped our past and still guides our future, subscribe to In the Beginning, and share this with someone who appreciates real ingenuity. The best lessons from history aren't found in textbooks. They're buried in the mud, just waiting to be uncovered.